Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh everyone. I'm Aisha Rosie. I'm with Olga.
Hi guys.
So Olga is interested in Islam, which is so beautiful. And we also shot a video where you asked me questions.
Yes.
But I wanted you to listen to the Quran first. Because I wanted you to get like a kind of feel. And I know you've been reading the Quran.
Yes.
Which is amazing. And you've been asking me questions and I've been trying my best to answer, which I'm not always the best, but I try my best.
You're incredible. Don't do it like that.
And I know you've listened to the Quran before.
Yes. Yes. So this is the second time Aisha's asked me this question, and my reaction is equally strange, and I'm gonna explain why. So the last time I listened to the Quran, I was living in Cambridge at the time, and I was alone, and I was in an apartment, and I've never really had like supernatural experiences, but in the kind of maybe like way that made me very scared. But for some reason, I'm just absolutely convinced I saw a ghost, like in slow motion, walking behind me in a mirror. And I wrote to my boyfriend, who at the time who was Muslim, and he's still in my life, just no longer a boyfriend, now a fiance. And I was like, listen, this has happened. Like, what do I do? Please help me, because I'm terrified and I can't sleep. And he sent me the Quran to listen to, and I put it on, and I swear it was the only thing that helped me go to sleep. And I felt very safe and just very at peace. I did not know what was being said, but it was so beautiful and so melodic. And anyway, that was the reason for my interesting response to this question. This is the second time after this that I'd be listening to it.
Okay, cool. So let's give it a go then.
Let's do it.
So before we start the video, I'm raising money for Syria. So guys, please donate. Links in the comments and the description. Yeah, it's really important, because I mean these people were in situations that I can't even imagine, living in tents. Their families have lost their families to the earthquake. Like no food, no drink, no livelihood, no education. They've lost everything, and we're raising money to help those people, inshallah. So please donate.
Absolutely, and I've already donated, but I'm going to go and donate using your link as well, because so important and such a powerful cause.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الرحمن علم القرآن خلق الإنسان علمه البيان الشمس والقمر بحسبان والنجم والشجر يسجدان والسماء رفعها ووضع الميزان ألا تطغوا في الميزان وأقيموا الوزن بالقسط ولا تخسروا الميزان والأرض وضعها للأنام فيها فاكهة والنخل ذات الأكمام والحب ذو العصف والريحان فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان خلق الإنسان من صلصال كالفخار وخلق الجان من مارج من نار فبأي آلاء تكذبان رب المشرقين ورب المغربين فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان مرج البحرين يلتقيان بينهما برزخ لا يبغيان فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان يخرج منهما اللؤلؤ والمرجان فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان وله الجوار المنشآت في البحر كالأعلام فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان كل من عليها فان ويبقى وجه ربك ذو الجلال والإكرام فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان يسأله من في السماوات والأرض كل يوم هو في شأن فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان.
Wow, you know, it was really, really interesting listening to that. I felt like at first, you know, at first it was just really calming, and it was just like I was listening to something that was on a device. And then as a little bit of time went on, like I really started to feel it. First, I really felt it in my heart, very deeply in my heart. And then it's somehow the experience of that sound like spread across my chest, and I felt it. It was like I was hearing it externally but also internally at the same time. I don't know if it has to do with the frequency or the words or what exactly, but that was really, really powerful in a way that I actually didn't expect it to be. It was quite arresting in a way. Again, like it just kind of seemed that everything stopped, everything paused. I wasn't really thinking or, you know, hearing or, you know, looking at anything in particular. It was just very, very grounding and very, very powerful.
As somebody who is reading the Quran,
Yes.
is there anything about the Quran in general that makes you like really drawn towards it or interested in it?
Absolutely. So I would say this started with actually just having come across like, the Muslims in my life in general. That kind of interest started there. I saw that there was a particular peacefulness and humbleness to the Muslims that I have come across pretty universally, you know, across all walks of life, across, you know, all nationalities. It was not like rooted towards a specific kind of type of person, but that was what kind of started. That's where that interest started. And then I met my fiance, and I would ask him all sorts of questions, most of them just so silly, just like the questions I ask you.
Oh my God,
lots of silly questions there. And then I was drawn to the Quran, and I think something that I see echoed obviously in both the Muslims I've seen and in the Quran. It's a few patterns that have really drawn me. I think one of them is this self-discipline that is borne out through you know, actions like Ramadan, like fasting, like prayer, right? Prayer 5 times a day. That lasts all throughout the day, like starting really, really early in the morning, finishing quite late. So that's the one aspect, self-discipline. I'd say the second aspect is this, it's both this idea of kind of humbleness, but equally the sense of empowerment, and they're kind of twin. So humbleness in the sense of there is something much greater than you, but empowerment in the sense that you have this direct link to this being that is greater than you. You don't need a mediator, an interpreter, you know, anything. You have that direct connection, which I find really, you know, that kind of combination I find very, very cool. And I would say the last point is generosity. And in the other video we spoke a lot about, for example, interest, how interest is a big no-no within Islam, and giving to people that are, you know, that are not as perhaps like financially fortunate. And you know, during Ramadan, that experience actually being heavily rooted in the sense of this is how, you know, going without food and water, this is how people live actively, and creating that radical empathy for people that perhaps live like that. So I'd say it's those three things that I've seen both borne out in the people that I've met and in the Quran. I'd say also there's a lot of misconceptions that I have heard and just kind of spoken about. And as I said, I'm very skeptical and very analytical as a person, so I want to go to the source. You know, when I hear people say things, I'm like, okay, I'm going to form my own opinion, I'm going to go to the source, and I want to understand. Like, a lot of people, for example, cite the Quran or Islam as being an oppressor of women, of forcing the hijab onto women, of forcing a particular, you know, way of being onto women. And so I have to go to the source and see what's really happening there. And I think on those sorts of issues I've just come to see how fundamentally, you know, misunderstood they are, and how people falsely attribute these sorts of things to a text that I think to its core is very, very beautiful, and that I really, really enjoy.
SubhanAllah, that was amazing insight. Thank you so much for sharing your insight. And yeah, make sure you guys watch the next video, inshallah, about asking questions. Thank you guys for watching. Assalamu alaikum.